Hack Redcon, the podcasts continue. Here with Seth from FR Secure. Glad to have you in the chair, man. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your company?
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. My name's Seth Bowling. I'm the head of research and development for FR Secure. Been with the company, gosh, I don't know, 8 or so years. Pen testing, red teaming. I make malware for a living, so that's fun.
Isn't it great being a professional criminal? I mean, this is like the coolest job in the world. We get to basically go out and do all the bad things and just go home and sleep very soundly.
No, it's the best. I was like, wait a second, somebody's going to pay me to be a criminal, basically?
I know.
It's like, this is the best job in the world.
I remember the old expression of it takes a thief to catch a thief. Right. And who would have thought that it would turn into a career?
Mm-hmm.
So pen testing. Before we get too deep into the conversation, I've been talking to all the pen testers because I work for CW PenSec. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'm asking all of us in this part of the industry is, how do you see our career going over the next couple of years with the concepts of continuous threat modeling, mm-hmm. the active pen testing programs, things like Pentera, Horizon 3 AI, and how these are all playing into the new cyber insurance roles, and where does that leave a space for us at the table?
Yeah, that's a great point. So for us, FR Secure, we do other things other than pen testing, risk assessments.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. But as a pen tester, this is something that I've actually been talking about now for about a month and a half, 2 months now is, where do we fit in this industry with what's coming, just to put some parameters around it. I was talking yesterday and we've all kind of agreed that, base pen tests started around $20,000, $30,000 in that general area, and they can go up into the millions. And that's for a specific point in time around a specific set of rules of engagements and scope. Where do you see this going? I mean, are we going to be more in an not adversarial, but advisory role, right, where we're going to be interfacing with the programs? Do you see the traditional pen test as something that's going to exist in 5 to 10 years?
I mean, I think so, just because I believe in it. I mean, we, as an organization, we do not do any kind of automated pen testing or, anything like that. We're very committed to, human beings, hands on keyboards, like doing a thorough job with a test, because I'm sure maybe it'll eventually get there, but you're not getting the quality.
I 100% agree. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I keep trying to have these conversations is I want other professionals to kind of be like, in my opinion, the continuous threat modeling and the continuous production-based pen testing, that to me is more like an advanced SIM or antivirus. It's another tool in the arsenal, but it doesn't replace us.
Totally agree. It serves a purpose. And if your expectations for what you want to get out of it are there ahead of time, you're going to be happy with it. But if you're looking for someone to really get in and test your security controls, you can't beat a seasoned pen tester.
It needs to be another tool in our arsenal, but it shouldn't be used to replace physical human pen testers as a whole.
Yeah, totally agree. It's the first thing that a client will ask us when we're doing like setting up engagements. They'll be like, okay, so is there like an automated or, do you guys
do you need an agent?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, we just need a connection into your network. Here's a beacon payload.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you said that. Yeah. I think we need to fight for our spot at the table, especially as these types of technologies start to get traction in the industry, because they're great with what they know, but they're not going to have that out of the box thinking that the human will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's really just kind of a consumer education thing in my mind.
I agree.
And I've yet to run into a situation where someone comes to us looking for something that's automated, and I explain to them the pros and cons of that and what we do differently and what you're going to get from a thorough engagement. I've never had anyone push back. Like once they understand the difference, most of the time people are like, yeah, I get that.
And that's, to me, is the message that, we in this part of the industry, we need to be continuously pushing that out there. And that speaks to just the general threat landscape, which is something that I know you guys are in the middle of a major project with.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for bringing that up. So about 2 years ago, we were talking about, all the issues our country is facing from cybersecurity landscape.
Okay, time out. So you started this conversation 2 years ago, and I have no doubt that it is still going on today.
Yeah. No, that's the funny part is, 2 years ago, CISA, DHS, they're doing a good job, but the amount of work they're doing is kind of overwhelming. And, specifically talking about critical infrastructure of the U.S., they're working through a fairly large backlog. And that is more true today than it was 2 years ago when we started it, because, I think as a lot of people know, there's been a lot of cuts to those departments. And so what we're doing
in general, I think since the advent of AI and LLMs, I think the general rule of thumb has been to do more with less, regardless of industry.
But when you're talking about infrastructure that affects millions of people, I mean, everyone, right?
Absolutely.
We all live in
look
the
at what
US.
happened with, what was that? The water treatment plant.
Yep.
Oldsmar water treatment plant. How many attacks have there been on critical infrastructure that most people don't even know about?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not even making the news at this point, but it's something that affects everyone in our society. And so what we started doing was mapping out the attack surface of the U.S. critical infrastructure. So
without going into too many details, that is a huge statement.
Yeah.
That is massive.
Yeah.
So when you say you are mapping the critical infrastructure landscape of the entire U.S., can you just clarify what that means to the people listening?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did a talk on this topic yesterday here at the con.
So if you didn't see the talk or you didn't make it to the con, these will be put out on YouTube or some other channel at some point. So you definitely want to see that if you want to understand exactly what he's talking about.
Yep. But yeah, kind of in a nutshell, what we're talking about is we started out with a map of every county in the U.S. and then did attack surface analysis on it, passive vulnerability scanning, OSINT recon, getting this data about these counties, and then giving it a score similar to like a credit report. 300,
so basically, you're giving it a
50.
threat score.
Yep, exactly. Same scale as a credit report, which I think a lot of people are familiar with.
Absolutely.
And then put pretty colors on it. 300's really bright red, and 850's really green.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what you get is a map of the U.S., every county.
And you were paid to do this, right?
Yeah, we were paid so much money to do this.
This project probably brought at least a couple of million into the company?
Yeah. No, it's a completely, not to sound too altruistic, but no, we just wanted to try to get awareness out there to local leadership and people who can affect change. We're making no money on this. So far, I won't give a number, but we don't want to
quite
in the hole.
Yeah, but we talk a lot about cybersecurity community, and the fact that we are free with our information with each other. We're all working towards the greater good, and that to me is one of the most amazing examples of somebody actually putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, thanks. That's something we very much believe in. We want to give stuff away for free. And so we created the tool, mirroreddefense.com. You can scan one top level domain for free per year. So if you want to use that to help in this effort, scan a local entity that you know about. We get those results and then approach them in a good faith way of saying, hey, here's some issues. You can use our tool to help fix it or not.
So you guys are like a grassroots movement, and you're looking for help in this.
Yeah, in any way possible. So if it's as simple as going in, scanning your local DMV website, we'll get those results and we can work with that. If you want to volunteer to help, start combing data to get other entities in the U.S., like just getting that recon of what those sites are, we would love that.
Are these results available to anyone to go look at?
Yeah, so the scan that you perform, the results are available to you. We publish some of our data kind of high level, and this is where we don't want to.
Well, you don't want to give somebody too much information.
We don't.
Exactly. That's the cost of doing business is when you're dealing in threat landscape. You can't really broadcast it out there because you're going to give adversaries basically a map with an X on it of where to go.
Exactly. So we have to be kind of vague when we're publishing broad data sets. a general idea of like, here's some colors on a map, and just to give you an idea of where to look at and who to engage. If you are one of these entities, though,
that was my next question. If you're one of these entities that works for one of these critical infrastructures, and you happen to look and see your general area and see some kind of a pinkish color, what can they do?
You can reach out to us directly, and we will provide you those results free of charge.
So this is not a plea or a ploy to try and gain, new market share, new customers. You're just trying to actually get people to do what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, basically that. And it's not like, and the other thing is, I want to be clear, it's not a shaming exercise or like extortion or anything like that. We're just trying to help.
That brings up another point. You remember when the bug bounty first started, you would contact the software developers, and in the beginning, these guys were throwing lawsuits, they were suing, and it took a long time for them to realize that, no, we're not trying to, hold your feet to the fire. We're trying to help.
Yep.
And I think more conversations about what you're doing will hopefully get people to see that this is actually a good thing and a positive.
Yeah, and that's the goal, and that's why we want to get other people involved too. Is it's one thing for me and Evan Francine, CEO of the company, we're working on this together. Two dudes, trying to get the word out is good, I hope. But if we can get more of a community effort around it, I think maybe more people will listen. That's the only way people will
Absolutely.
listen.
And with the cybersecurity community being so close-knit, I don't think this should really be a problem if we can get you in front of the right people.
Yeah.
So I once again, if people want to get involved, what is the URL? It's
mirroreddefense.com. Also, you can look me up on LinkedIn, Twitter.
And once again, give them that information?
Yeah, Seth Bowling. I work for FR Secure.
And that's for LinkedIn and for Twitter?
Yep.
Same thing?
Yep, same thing. I don't remember my handles on
That's
either.
okay.
Sorry, that's bad.
Honestly, Seth, thank you so much for sitting down in the chair, and I really appreciate you talking about this. I think this is an amazing opportunity for people to get involved and actually put some boots on the ground towards getting some resolutions to some of these problems. So,
hope so.
Let's give this guy as much support as we can. Put this out on your Twitters, blast it out on your LinkedIns. Let's get the community to do what it's good at and actually do some good. Yeah. So now that we're done with the stressful part of today, today on day 2, since it's the last day,
all right,
we are doing whiskey and war stories.
All right.
So we've got some 10-year-old billet here.
Yep.
And, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So let me give you a little splash there.
Oh, thank you.
Now, before we started, I asked you to kind of think of a war story, some kind of a funny story, something that's happened over the course of your career. And again, just like you said before, we're not trying to shame anybody, but realistically, we have some of the coolest stories out there.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us one of your stories from your past?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if this is really a learning story, but it's a fun one.
We can do learning, we do funny, we do all kinds of stuff in here.
So I'm a red teamer. Like I said, I make malware and internal tooling now, but for most of my career, I was doing penetration testing and red teaming. So the way my career kind of progressed, I moved from internal pen testing into a red team engagement. This was my very first red team engagement. I
remember those first ones are terrifying. It's
yes.
like, especially if they're done the right way, because you've got lawyers involved.
Yep.
If you've ever experienced imposter syndrome, you will never experience it worse than on your very first pen test.
Yeah. So context for red teaming, typically on the engagement, it's, you'll get a workbook and the scope. And a lot of times the scope is whatever you want it to be. The scope's like, all right, just here's who we are, attack everything. And there's not a lot of rules of engagement on this team. Yeah,
you got lucky, man. Usually every major engagement I've ever been in, it's like, we only want you to touch the email systems.
Yep.
We only want you to go after SharePoint.
So it's a lot of that now. 10 or so years ago, people didn't really know what to ask for, and they were just like, yeah, get in there and mess stuff up.
Well, 10 or so years ago, I was getting in, but I wasn't getting in under the request.
Right. So in this engagement, it was just kind of carte blanche. We could do whatever we wanted. No physical
Can't
access.
damage.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing destructive, and there was no like physical component of it, so we couldn't show up on site and get in. It was purely electronic,
all remote.
Yep, all remote. So we start with some phishing and the normal external enumeration and just kind of standard stuff. Was able to compromise some creds and get into a VPN. So we're on the VPN. This is over the course of probably 4 weeks. Just very low and slow, methodical. Haven't gotten caught because that was one of the parameters. If we catch you, it's over. There's no restart.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going through, eventually get domain admin and keys to the kingdom and all that fun stuff. So then it's just like, okay, what kind of cool stuff we could do? This is a fairly large city in the U.S. that we're testing. So
okay,
we're testing
so it's a municipality.
Yes. Poking around, find a spreadsheet full of credentials. One of them is titled something like county jail or something like that.
Oh boy.
And I was like, okay, well, so you're immediately like, well, yeah, I want that, So figure out where this system is, get the creds, get onto that network. And what we found was these were credentials for the management system that actually controlled the jail cells.
Oh, all the doors.
And it was, once you were in, it is as easy as open door, open all the doors. So that's a fun one. And that was my very first red team. And I was like, wow, are they all like this? This is great.
I'll be honest. If that was my first experience, I can see how that could have got you hooked instantly.
Oh, totally. It's like, oh, okay, so I could just be the Joker from Batman and let all the inmates out. Great.
So thank you very much for joining me today.
Cheers.
I love the story. This is going to wrap up our interview with Seth. Thank you again for sitting down with us. And Hack Redcon continues. Till next time. Peace.